Hello and welcome to the Knit Shift episode 100. My name is Laura and today is Tuesday, January 2nd, 2018. Yes, that's right, I said episode 100. The Knit Shift is in the triple digits. It took us a year and 10 months to hit this mark. And I am so excited to be celebrating this big day with you guys. This feels more momentous than the anniversary of when I started podcasting, which is late March. I don't remember the exact date. I would have to go back and look. But going from 2 digits to 3 digits in the episode numbers feels like a momentous occasion. So I am so excited to be back filming with you guys. It feels right that this big day is coming at the start of a new year because we have so much to talk about looking back at 2017, looking ahead to 2018. I have a massive giveaway to draw a winner for at the end of the episode, so stay tuned for that. And yeah, thank you so much for watching both today and over the past 99 episodes and whatever the future might hold for the Knit Shift. I am thrilled to be here. I am thrilled to hear from you guys. So if you do enjoy this, please subscribe on iTunes or YouTube where both the episode can be found. That way you won't miss any new episodes. I record about every 2 weeks. I am on Instagram as Laura Maholsky. I am on Ravelry as Yarnstormer. And we do have a group for the podcast. If you go to, if you search for the Knit Shift, you will find us. What else? Yeah, show notes. They can be found at theknitshift.com. This episode will also be embedded there if that works better for you. And yeah, thanks for being here today. I hope everyone had a wonderful holiday, whether it was Hanukkah, Christmas, neither of the above, Kwanzaa. I hope you had a great New Year. If you celebrated, I had a very low-key New Year's. My parents were in town between Christmas and New Year's. Oh yeah, I didn't really introduce myself. If you're new here, I'm Laura. I am a journalist. I live in Northern Virginia with my boyfriend Josh and our dog Gracie, who as usual is in her favorite spot, snoozing away while I record. And if you follow me on Instagram, I just posted a photo of what you see behind the camera. You know, you guys see me this way, what's behind me and what does my setup look like? So I just put a photo on Instagram if that kind of thing interests you. But Gracie loves to sleep right here on the edge of the couch and look out the window. I moved to this apartment about not quite four months ago? Gosh, 5 months ago almost? That's insane. I can't believe it'll be 6 months in mid-February. So yeah, it's been about 5 months, which is crazy. I'm a journalist. I work nights, hence the Knit Shift. And yeah, if you're watching this, you probably know me already. So let us get to it. Today I have several FOs to discuss with you, several whips, we're gonna look back at 2017 and what I knit, and looking ahead to my goals for 2018 and whether I met my goals for 2017. And at the very end, we will have a giveaway for the mega prize for the 100th episode celebration. So let us get to it. I have 2 FOs to talk about today. Unfortunately, neither of them is with me, which is a huge bummer. One of them is my Christmas socks, and I will insert a photo here so you can see what I'm talking about. For the first year ever, I finished my Christmas socks before Christmas. These were knit from Lydia Sock Yarn in the colorway 'Tis the Season. It is her, I don't remember the base, but I'm certain it's a 75-25 superwash merino nylon. And here is what I have left over. I knit these on a size 0 because the yarn is so thin. It's green and red, the traditional colors, but then there's this lovely pink with speckles in it. Here's a better look at the speckles here, I think. This strand of pink here running across, you can kind of see the green speckles. So these were really fun to knit. I have a few more skeins of Christmas yarn in my stash. I'll definitely be knitting those again come probably early November is when I cast these on for 2017. I will try and do the same in 2018 to have a new pair of socks to wear. For the record, my 2016 Christmas socks, I literally did not finish until July of 2017. So that shows you what a priority Christmas sock knitting has been for me. So I'm thrilled I finally finished a pair before Christmas. I also knit a hat in 4 days for my boyfriend Josh. He asked me on December 22nd, semi-jokingly, if I would knit him a hat. I have knit this gentleman, this man friend of mine, 5 hats previously. He has lost 2 of them. I know, I'm judging him too. I'm judging myself for continuing to knit for him because he is not proving himself especially knit-worthy. He's lost his 2 black hats that I knit him. He has 2 thin hats that I made as like ski helmet liners because he likes to ski. So they're not the best for, they just kind of barely cover his head. They don't quite cover his ears. And he has the 5th hat, which is his favorite ski helmet liner, which is this lovely merino cashmere nylon, and it's a practically threadbare hat. So that's very well loved and very well used. That's the one he uses the most in his helmet. And he hasn't skied in over a year, so it's kind of a moot point. So his ski helmet liners are not hats that you would especially wear out on a day-to-day basis. So he asked me semi-jokingly if I would knit him a hat. And literally it was the evening of like December 22nd. He asked for the hat on the 21st. And I was like, yes, I sprung into action. I was like, go, 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 go. I went to my stash, I pulled out 3 or 4 options. I at least picked like DK and above in terms of yarn thickness. I wasn't silly enough to think I could knit him a sock weight hat by Christmas. So he chose Brooklyn Tweed Arbor, which is, I had in a lovely navy blue shade. The colorway name, I forget, but I will put it in the show notes. I cast it on the 22nd. I had to rip it out and start it over because I realized it was not quite the right size. So I started it on Friday the 22nd on the Metro on the way to work, which is not my favorite place to start a knitting project, for the record. I finished it Tuesday morning the 26th, so I did not have it done in time for Christmas, but that's okay. I really wanted it done before my parents arrived on the 27th when we would be out and about sightseeing and doing touristy stuff, so that goal was accomplished. So I cast on 80 stitches. I knit 2x2 rib for probably 4 inches. I like to make a very generous ribbed hat because the ribbing, it stretches out this way, so it seemingly gets skinnier on the head. So I like to make it really fat so that it ensures it covers the entire ear. So I increased to 90 stitches after I got beyond the ribbing because it was just perfectly snug with the 80 stitches on the 2x2 rib. So I increased evenly 10 stitches around to get to 90 stitches, and I just knit stockinette and went the rest of the way up the hat. So it's a nice foldable brimmed hat. He really likes it. I'm eager to wash it and block it because I finished it and he wore it that week while my parents were here. And it was very, very cold out here, which and it's still cold, which I'll talk more about later, but he really did need the nice thick hat. So I'm really happy with how it turned out. I much prefer knitting with Arbor versus Brooklyn Tweed's Shelter or Loft, which are the woolen spun, really hardy wools. Arbor is targy and it is spun, I don't know, I forget, I think worsted spun is the more traditional commercial spinning technique, and it's much smoother and easier to knit. It did not fall apart the way Loft did when I knit with Loft. And I also wanted to provide an update on 2 finished objects that I talked about and showed here previously. So after I showed you guys the hat I knit for my niece for Christmas, I added a pom-pom to it. And I'm so glad I did. So I mailed her presents to her parents and we opened them up over FaceTime, and my brother flipped out for the hat that I knit for Olivia. He loved it so much. And he put it on her head and she went with it for a little while, and then she'd like pull it off, and then he'd put it back on. He just loved it so much and it made my day, and he kept calling her my little hipster baby. So he loved the hat, he loved the pom-pom. I'm so thrilled with how it turned out and that he was so happy about it. So the pom-pom I made with the Clover pom-pom maker that I got pretty recently at Fiberspace. So highly recommend those Clover pom-pom makers. I got 2 for $8, like they came in a set. And they also sell an even bigger pom-pom, a single pom-pom maker that makes an even bigger pom-pom, bigger than the kinds that I bought. Clover also sells those individually, so highly recommend those. It's a great way to make pom-poms. It might seem silly when you could just use a piece of cardboard and wrap it around and do the traditional way. This is so much better. It makes a much neater pom-pom. Highly recommend it. The other update on an FO I wanted to give you guys was I knit a pair of socks that were intended for my grandma. They were a mottled pink and peach and brown and green, and they were gonna be for my grandma who passed away in September, and I said on the podcast that I was gonna keep them for myself. You know, I hadn't really quite finished them yet. The whole time I was a lying liar who lied. They were for my mom. They were her Christmas gift. Since they had already been seen on the podcast, I just kind of ran with the lie that they were for myself. And apologies for being dishonest. I don't like doing that, but when my mom watches this podcast, I have to be a little deceptive. I probably won't do that again for future knits for her and pretend they're mine, because now she'll think, oh, is that for me or is that actually for Laura? So maybe I'll just keep gifts for her completely off the podcast till they're done and given to her. So yeah, those were for my mom for Christmas, so she seemed to like them. So yeah, that is it for my works in progress, and I'm sorry, my FOs, and now let's move on to works in progress. I actually have a half-finished objects to share with you, and it's something you have not seen on the podcast yet. So I started and knit this sock in the past 2 weeks. This is Into the World Gloucester sock in the colorway Captain Tight Pants. And it's these lovely browns and deep dark browns and mustard and sky blue and teal. And I love the way the yarn worked up. It's not self-striping, but it just spiraled very nicely. So I knit this in my standard toe-up recipe. I cast on with Judy's Magic Cast On, increased every third round until I hit 30 stitches on each needle, so 60 total. I did a fish lips kiss heel, and then I carried on up the leg and ended with a generous 25 rounds of 2x2 ribbing. So this is a nice thick, Gloucester sock is a nice squishy 80-20 merino nylon blend. I used a size 1 needle and I only knit 60 stitches. Normally I need to knit about 68 stitches for a sock. So I was pleasantly surprised that I could go down a few stitches, use a smaller stitch count for this sock. So I'm quite pleased with how this knit up, and I am already moving along on the mate. I'm carrying this project. This was a Christmas gift from Josh. This is my new Bink waffle bag. I love these little wristlet style because I can knit from them on the Metro, and I added a pin to it. I bought this at a store in Alexandria last week while my parents were here. Actually, my dad bought this for me through With People. This is from Penny Post, which is a store in Alexandria. It's like a stationary gift store. So I just thought that was kind of fun. And it kind of summarizes my life motto at times. I'm a very patient person, but sometimes you're just through with people. So yeah, that's what it's about. So here is the mate. So I've done the toe and I'm just starting the foot of the sock. So just barely there, and I'm using my carbons, which I really do love quite a bit. And here's what the yarn looks like in the cake. It's got a really nice twist on this, this yarn base, so I really like this, and if I get the chance to buy more of this yarn base, I would definitely do that again. So yeah, that is my main work in progress, and I have one more work in progress to share with you guys. Hi, Gracie. Oh, it's so tough. So tough being such a sleepy dog, huh? All right, my next work in progress I am keeping in my Nikozuki Knits project bag. And I love that it's cherry blossoms now that I live in DC, where cherry blossoms are especially a thing. And this is the Sprites Fen Shawl by Helen Stewart. I've not shown this project for quite some time on the podcast. I have been working on this since July, if you can believe it or not. I set it aside with all the excitement of my move. And yeah, I'm glad to be back working on it. So I've added maybe an inch in the past couple weeks. So this is what it looks like. It's garter, and there's bits of stockinette with just a garter ridge here and there. And then there are sections of feather and fan lace. And it just all kind of repeats like that. So it's a very nice pattern. I'm really enjoying it, and I'm really happy with this yarn. This is Yarn on the House, aka Yoth yarns. And it's the Little Brother base, which is an 80-10-10 superwash merino nylon. It's 435 yards per skein, and this is the colorway Shiitake. And I have 2 cakes of it, so I have about 870 yards for this project. And I think this is a size 6 needle. I'm kind of wishing I had gone up a needle size, because I think that would make for a nice bigger open shawl. But I haven't knit a lot of tighter gauge shawls, so I'm okay with it. And I do think this will open up when I block it quite a bit. So yeah, I'm really happy for this. I really do want a nice neutral shawl that goes with just about everything. So yeah, I'm not taking this on the Metro. I'm really knitting this at home when I have like peace and quiet to focus on the instructions. So it's not getting a ton of love right now, but I'm hoping that I can make it my exclusively at home project and keep to sock knitting on the train. So that is it for my works in progress. And with that, let's talk about yarns. So I showed you last time my advent calendar thus far from Sweet Sparrow Yarns, and so I can show you the rest of it. It's all in this bag, which is just the easiest way for me to hold on to it. I'm really glad I did this whole advent calendar. It was my first yarn advent calendar. The yarns are really lovely. These were some of my favorites. Her tweed yarns are really nice. I don't know the colorway names off the top of my head, though it did come with instructions on which yarn for which day. So this is a very beautiful red. I think this might have been like peppermint mocha, and she would attach stitch markers to it every, I think I got 4 or 5 stitch markers throughout the duration of the advent calendar. Sorry about the focus troubles, guys. This one was a really pretty one too, this pale pink with speckles and sparkle. And this this tweed one was also probably my favorite of the whole calendar. And then at the end of the entire, at the end of it, you had a full-size skein to unwrap on Christmas Day. So that's what I did. This is the skein that came at the end of the calendar. This is her Magpie base, which is a 75-25 superwash merino nylon stellina, 438 yards, and it is gold stellina, which I have never seen in a sock yarn before. You know, I've heard about them, but I've never owned a skein, so pretty stoked for this. And this colorway is called Winter Morning, and it's mostly this oatmeal brown with some brown speckles, but there's a flash of robin's egg blue, not quite, maybe it is robin's egg blue, sky blue, cornflower blue, and then there's this really pretty pale pink. So really pretty pale pink with, again, with a bit of the brown speckles. So I really like this. I think this will probably end up being a pair of socks or maybe a shawl. We'll see. I have a little bit more yarns to share with you because I went to Fiberspace when my parents were here. My mom is a knitter, as you all know, and I'm really sorry, by the way, that I didn't get a chance to record with her. My mom got sick partway through, basically toward the start of her visit, and like by the 3rd day she basically had no voice and, you know, had laryngitis and like was just kind of talking above a whisper. So we just didn't have a ton of time to record anyway. So I'll be seeing her in a few weeks when I go to Ohio, gosh, in like a week and a half. So perhaps we can record there. We'll see. So I had talked with my dad a few weeks earlier, like in early December, about gifts from my mom, and I suggested that he call Fiberspace and buy a gift certificate for my mom so that when we inevitably went to Fiberspace on their visit, she could walk in and he could say, hey, guess what? There's a gift card for you at the front desk. Have fun shopping, you know? And then it's like, wow, free money at the yarn store. Yay, that's a really fun gift, right? So that's what he did. He got her a really nice gift card and told her about it as we approached the store. And as it turns out, my dad got me a gift card to Fiberspace too. He did the same thing for me, which was really sweet. So I had a little bit of money to spend when my mom and I browsed. And yeah, I got a couple things. So let me show you. My mom and I each got a skein of this. The Fiberspace, which is in Alexandria, had just received a shipment of Lemonade Shop, and I love Lemonade Shop. I put one of their sock yarns in my shawl project that I knit, my Vertices Unite, and I love it. So I had to get this lovely buttery yellow skein of speckled sock yarn. This is Simple Sock, which is an 80-20 superwash merino nylon, 400 yards, and the colorway is called Sugar Cookie. So doesn't it look like a sugar cookie with like the sprinkles, the shiny glossy sprinkles on top? So my mom got a skein of this too, so maybe we'll be sock twins. And the other thing I got, I decided I needed another hat for winter. So the second thing I got at Fiberspace was this skein of Lemonade Shop in the colorway Smudge. This is also the simple sock base, and you can see it's a nice neutral color with black speckles. So this looks like an Oreo to me. So I think it's pretty fun. So one of my coats for winter is black, like a traditional black pea coat. The other is a red heavy parka. So I thought this would make a really nice slouchy hat with a fluffy red pom-pom on top. Do not adjust your monitors, it is that red. It's red with like black tips actually. So this was something else I picked up at Fiberspace. So I'm super in love with this. It really is this big, this pom-pom, so you can see it here next to my head. It is like half the size of my head, so, and it's really soft. I'm really excited about this, and I just love fluffing it up. It's got these ribbons on it so you can tie it on. I have this already caked up, and I'm gonna hopefully cast on this hat today, so we'll see. Stay tuned. So that brings us to odds and ends. So my parents visited. They arrived 2 days after Christmas on Wednesday the 27th. They stayed until Sunday morning, New Year's Eve. We had such a nice time. My mom had not seen my apartment yet. My dad helped me paint this place before I moved in. So it was his first chance to get to see this place with all of the stuff in it. So that was really, really nice. They liked the place. We spent some time hanging out here in a couple evenings, but we really were on the go quite a bit. We had tickets to see the African American History Museum, which is the newest museum in the Smithsonian Museum collection. It's amazing. I cannot recommend it enough. If you're gonna come to DC, try and get tickets well ahead of time. They release the tickets, I think, on the first Wednesday of the month for like 2.5 months later. So tomorrow you could get tickets for April, to visit in April. And they go really quickly. They do release some same-day tickets, but it's a limited number. Again, if you Google Smithsonian African American History Museum, it'll have all the details, but it's very popular with good reason. It's very well done. It's extremely sobering. You know, no matter what race you are, there's so much to learn there, and it's difficult to view a lot of the stuff, but that's why it's important. It's important to know about the difficult things that happened in this country. So I can't recommend it enough. We didn't even get to see half of it. We were pretty worn out after about 2.5, 3 hours. So we had lunch at the museum. They had a very nice cafe there, and we took off. So I'm definitely gonna go back, and I'm hoping my parents can come back and we go to the museum again. So cannot recommend it enough. So we did that. We visited the Natural History Museum for a little bit. It was really, really cold. I mean, temperatures topped out in maybe around 20, maybe 25. I think one day it got above freezing, but it was really cold. We bundled up the entire time. We also went to the Vietnam Memorial, Vietnam Veterans Memorial, the wall, you know, with the names of all the service members who died. We went to Lincoln Memorial. My dad had not done touristy stuff in DC since he was a kid, so that was really nice to get to do a little sightseeing. They got to visit the newsroom where I work. It was just a really nice time. We had a nice dinner out on Friday night. We went to Old Ebbitt Grill, which is right by the White House. It's this beautiful historic restaurant. And then all 4 of us were supposed to, and 4 of us being me and Josh and then my parents, we were gonna go see a jazz show. I bought tickets to this jazz concert for a Christmas present for my parents, and my mom was really sick, and Josh was sick with a cold too. So my dad and I went, and we had a father-daughter date. We saw the Cyrus Chestnut Trio, which was Cyrus Chestnut, who plays the piano, a bass player, and a bass player, not cello. He was bass, although they're kind of similar, and a drum player. So they were really, really amazing. Really nice show. And it was at a club called Blues Alley, which is in Georgetown, which is a part of town I haven't been to in about a decade. So that was really nice. So we had a great time, really busy, really whirlwind trip. So I had a wonderful time, and I hope they did too. So that brings us to talking about looking back at my knitting for 2017 and looking ahead to 2018. So the past few days, I went through my projects for the past year and counted up the yardage, which I've been really good about keeping track of throughout the year. I have a spreadsheet where I list yarn in and yarn out, and I will give you an update on that. So I knit 18 FOs. I had 18 FOs in last year. 7 of them were for me, 11 of them were gifts. So I like to give away a lot of my knits because I have a lot, and unless I really want something in particular for myself, I just as soon knit for the people I love. So I'm pretty happy with that breakdown. Of the 18 things I made, half of them were socks. I knit 9 pairs of socks. I knit 3 shawls. I knit 2 hats. 1 adult, 1 baby. So literally I knit, the only 2 hats I knit this year, I knit in December. 1 for Olivia, my niece, and 1 for Josh. I knit 1 baby sweater for Olivia. I finished that and then I brought it when I met her in March when she was born. I knit an ornament and a stocking for Olivia. And I knit 1 piece of artwork, which was the P in the Washington Post masthead. So yeah, so 18 FOs all in all. And I think if I had to choose a favorite project, I'd have to choose 2. I really love my Vertices Unite shawl that I knit and finished in October. I didn't knit it all in October. I started it in June or July. I finished it in October. It's enormous. I would kind of want to knit another one, actually. I really enjoyed knitting it. And I wear it all the time here. I wear it, now that it's cold, it's so big I can wrap it twice around my head and tie it, and it's really squishy and nice all around my neck. And I really love it. And the other favorite thing I've knit was the stocking for my niece. I talked about this a few episodes ago, but I love that it is this special heirloom that she will have for the rest of her life, and that makes me so happy to have been the one to make it for her. So I'm really pleased with how that turned out. So my goals for the year were to knit for people I haven't knit for before. And I kind of succeeded at that. I knit for a friend's new baby. I knit a pair of socks. And I also knit a pair of socks that I gave to a relative who needed a bit of rainbow sunshine in her life. So I knit for 2 people I've never knit for before. Unfortunately, I did not knit a sweater for myself, which is a bummer. And another goal of mine was to show you guys progress on long-term projects once a month. I would say I mostly failed at that. There was just so much upheaval in my life this year that it was kind of hard to keep on top of showing you long-term projects. So that was kind of a fail on that part for me. And my last and biggest goal was to have more stash out than in. Basically to use more yarn than I bought this year. And I can't believe it, but I met this goal. I did not think this was gonna happen, you guys. As I was doing the math, I was like bracing myself for the inevitable net gain in my stash, but that didn't happen. So here's the yardage I used in 2017. I did 2 counts for what I used. I did I weighed the skein, the leftovers to see what was left and kind of estimated that way. But I also did a generous estimation of what I used by saying if I knit a shawl and I had 1/3 of a skein left over, for my purposes, that yarn is out of my stash. So I have 2 counts for the yardage I used this year. If you're from Pittsburgh, you will recognize the Kennywood Arrow. It's an amusement park in Pittsburgh. So I used conservatively 14,418 yards or 8.2 miles of yarn. If you're generous, I used 16,353 yards or about 9.2 miles. However, and that's not just used, it's also gave away. So if I gave something out of my stash for a giveaway, or if I did a yarn swap at Rhinebeck, that counted as stash out. So I either used or gave away 8.2 to 9.2 miles of yarn. However, I brought in 14,393 yards of yarn through purchases. Basically through purchases. And what that meant is I had, depending on how you count it, I have either 25 fewer yards or almost 2,000 yards less now in my stash than I did a year ago, which is amazing. I mean, 25 yards is not amazing because literally like I could walk 75 yards to the, I could probably walk the length of my apartment a couple times and that's 75 yards. But that's pretty cool, right? I mean, I did not expect that at all. And I am gonna keep the same goal for next year. I'm really hoping I can do it. I have several sweater quantities that I'd love to knit. So we'll talk about my 2018 goals. So again, more stash out than in. I want to knit 12 pairs of socks this year. Now that I commute on the train several days a week, I think I can manage 1 pair of socks a month. My sock knitting dramatically increased after I moved here in August. I think I knit like more than half the pairs of the year in September, October, November, December. So I think it's very optimistic. It's very doable that I could knit 12 pairs of socks for the year. I would like to knit myself another sweater. I have two sweater quantities of fingering weight yarn. I really want to knit myself a cardigan and maybe a pullover in fingering weight yarn. But my goal is only one because I'm realistic and I know my limits. So if I knit an entire fingering weight sweater in 2018, I'll be thrilled. And I would love to learn to spin. I have the spinning wheel. I got it over a year ago. I haven't touched it except to move it around since like January. As you might remember, 2017 was a really kind of rough year for me health-wise. I hurt my back in several manners in January. Like a year ago at this time was kind of miserable for me. So I could barely walk for a lot of January and February, and I wish that were an exaggeration, but I was miserable and in so much pain. And I went to physical therapy and that helped, and then I had a setback in October. So anyway, I feel better now. I'm still working on that, but I really do want to learn to knit in 2018. I have a Craftsy class that I purchased, but I really need to have, I think, a private lesson. I'm gonna try and get with Fiberspace, my local yarn store, and try and find out about doing a private lesson, because I think for me that's the best way to learn, is have someone teaching me hands-on. So yeah, those are my goals for 2018. I think they're pretty doable. So with that, let's get to the giveaway, the good stuff, right? To remind you what's being given away, 2 skeins of yarn. This beautiful skein of sock yarn from Wonderland Yarns, and it's like 500 some yards, so it's a very generous for a shawl. And a skein of Shelter, which is a nice squishy woolly wool if that's your thing, and this is the colorway Sap. We have a nice mask for you to wear, a little bit of self-care as the term of the time is. We have a little pouch from Centerville Knit and Crochet with some stitch markers tucked away inside. We have a Spin Cycle Yarns pom-pom bobble hat. And just so you know, this hat, they only got 3 of these pins at my local yarn store, so this is practically one of a kind. So I really love this, and I'm thrilled to be able to give such a special pin to you guys. It's just so cute. And finally, you will be getting a tote from the Indie Untangled at Rhinebeck. So without further ado, there were 74 posts in the Ravelry thread. The very first one was mine. So I'm gonna ask Siri to pick a number from 2 through 74, and then I will tell you guys who that person is. Hey Siri. Pick a number between 2 and 74.
Random number between 2 and 74 is 20.
All right, so let's see who post number 20 is. So that is Kathy345. She loves seeing my projects and Gracie because she also has 2 Cocker Spaniels. Yay! So Kathy in 345 in Illinois, please shoot me a private message and I will let you, I will get this in the mail to you. So yeah, I'm thrilled to give this away. I hope you enjoy, Kathy. And I think that's it for me today, guys. I'm gonna try and edit this and get this up this evening, or maybe tomorrow. So again, thank you so much for watching. I cannot believe we made it to 100 episodes. I'm thrilled about that. So take care, thank you for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't, like the video, all that good stuff, and I will see you guys soon. Bye.